Y95, Lafayette's best country. It's B. Adams. And joining me on the show right now for the first time, I don't believe I've ever had the privilege to speak to him. You know him, Scotty McCreery. Welcome to the show, my man.
Hey, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. I'm talking to you. Life's great, right? Before we get too into it, I want to mention, so Big D and Bubba is our morning show, obviously syndicated out of Nashville. They're our morning show here in Lafayette.
Yeah.
And you were on with them, I don't know, what, about a month or so ago? And they got you to eat baby food on the air. Was that really your first time eating baby food?
Yeah, first and last. Absolutely.
Well, you answered two questions there for me at once, because I was going to ask you, have you eaten baby food since then? I was going to say, tell the truth.
Heck, no, I don't see how that's good to babies. Like, how does that make them want to eat more solid food? I don't get it. But
I don't get it. You know, there is some good baby food, though. They just had you try, like, one of the vegetable ones, right?
Yeah, like butternut squash and veggies and yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
They did that on purpose. You should have ate like one of the fruit flavors.
That's where I probably messed up.
Yeah, that was your mistake. They ruined it for you. Now you'll never have it again. Was that the weirdest thing you've ever been asked to do on the air?
Oh man, one of them. I'm sure I've done a bunch of stuff over the years, but yeah, at least it's coming to my head. I can't remember any time they're like, "Hey, turn your phone on, film yourself eating baby food." We love those guys. Those guys are great.
You know, that's what makes them so good, though, is the relationship they have with the artist, and you know, they get people to do fun stuff. It's a little out of the norm. That's what's great about Big D and Bubba.
Yeah, and we love it too because we can do a lot of the same stuff over and over, but they always keep it fresh.
Right. So you just have the one kid?
Yeah, one kid, 8 months old.
8 months. All right. How you enjoying fatherhood?
Dude, it is the best thing I've ever done. You know, it's just every day waking up and seeing him smiling at you, and you know, even if he's blown out his diaper and it, takes you 10 minutes to clean, it's just so cool watching him grow and kind of get his own little personality.
It's the best thing in the world, man. I have a daughter. She's 4 years old, and being a dad, you're right, it's the greatest thing. Nothing, no matter what we do in our careers, nothing will compare to being a dad. I know you can agree with that.
100%. Absolutely.
So we're creeping up on college football season. All of our stations here, we're the home of Purdue sports, so we carry Purdue football, basketball, all the sports, basically. A lot of country artists are big college sports fans. Do you have a team? Are you a big college sports guy?
I am. Yeah, for sure. Being here in North Carolina, basketball is typically always king, but football, it still gets the folks going. So I'm an NC State Wolfpack fan. That's kind of how I grew up, and I married into an LSU family.
Oh, no.
So I know. So.
Well,
I get the football thing for sure.
Yeah, I root for Purdue. Obviously, I work hand in hand with them, and we love it. But I'm an Alabama fan. I grew up that way. All my family's from Alabama. So when you say LSU, I can handle NC State. But when you said LSU, I had to puke in my mouth a little bit.
I could hear that. I thought there had to be something there.
So you were on season 10 of American Idol. My wife and I are huge fans of that show. So I got to ask you, all these years later, what's your biggest takeaway from being on that show? I know you've probably been asked that question a million times, but 12, 13 years, however long it's been since then, I don't know if your answer's changed, but what was your biggest takeaway from being on American Idol and kind of getting your start there?
Yeah, probably had a million takeaways from that show. It was life-changing, and it really can change your life. That's my favorite part of American Idol or a show like it is, it can legitimately be your next-door neighbor that tries out for the show in some random arena, and then before you know it, a few months later, they are off to the races. So
yeah,
that's what happened to me. I was, the local grocery store bagger at down the street in North Carolina, and then tried out, and man, it just made my dreams come true. And I learned a lot about the business side of things and recording, and it really was like a little kind of mini music business boot camp, and in 4 months it was all over. So,
do you ever, when you go to a grocery store now, unless you send somebody to the store for you, do you ever judge the baggers? Do you do you critique?
I don't give them a chance. I don't get a chance to judge them because I make sure we go to the self checkout so I can do it myself. Just kind of go back to my roots. I'm remembering like banana is 4011. That's the code.
My wife does the same thing. Whenever we go to the grocery store, she just types it all in herself. I'm like, you haven't worked at a grocery store in years. That's so funny,
dude. It stays with you, man.
I can't wait to tell my wife that. She'll probably make fun of me now because she's gonna say Scotty McCreery does it.
Yeah.
Well,
that's amazing.
A lot of casual fans might not remember. I'm talking about casual fans of the show, not you, but they might not remember. It came down to you and Lauren Elena, who you both obviously have had great careers in country music. So are you two still close friends? Do you still talk?
Yeah, we're still. I mean, she's still like a sister to me, So I never made the move to Nashville, so I don't see her or too many artists all that often. I'm still in Carolina, but any chance I get to see her, it's like catching up right where we left off, and I think I'll always be like a brother to her, and she'll always be like a sister to me, and kind of went through that show together, and nobody, no matter how much we talk about it, nobody can truly get what it was like,
right?
Unless you were right there.
I don't think I realized that, Scotty. I never realized that you didn't make the move to Nashville, and I love that you're staying true to your roots and staying out in Carolina. It reminds me of like Prince. Obviously, Prince during his heyday was one of the biggest stars in the world. He never left Minnesota, but I know in country music, it's Justin Moore, for instance. I've gotten to know his camp pretty well over the years. Good friends with his tour manager, JR, and I know when he wanted to move his family back to Arkansas, people in Nashville or whoever, they were like, no, like you can't do that. And he basically was like, well, I'm a grown man. And he did without them knowing. And his career still was great, obviously. I mean, he's got 11 number one hits now. But like a year after he moved, like some upper management or somebody came to him and said, I guess you're doing okay. You're probably at a place now you can move to Arkansas. And he's like, I've been there a year. So I think that's really cool. You stuck to your roots.
Yeah, it's really one of those things. I go to Nashville a lot, and I record there, and I write there a bunch. But home is home. Our roots are pretty dang deep here in Carolina and the Red Clay. So it's just home, and we've made it work. I made it work right after the show, and still went back to school, even though I was touring with Brad Paisley, and I went to college at NC State, even though I was touring with Rascal Flatts. Like it was really a wild time. So I just kind of figured out a formula that works for us, and we've stuck to it. So
how did that work? Like you were in college, but you're becoming a star. Like, were you able to just go to classes and things? You didn't get like bombarded by people?
I did. I've always just kind of been stubborn like that. I think they were worried about it, but I was like, no, it'll work. So the first week of class was always a little tough. Kids were realizing I was in their class actually, and they'd say the roll and everybody's head would turn, and I'm like, hey, everybody. But, after the first week, they'd realize, it's like, oh, he's literally rocking rainbows and like the sandals and T-shirts and shorts to class. And he's just like us. So after one semester.
I think that's what people love. One of the things people love about country music, though, is like no matter how big you guys get, no matter how famous you guys get, you're always just normal people at your core.
Yeah, I mean, me and Gabi tell people that all the time. We're just like everybody else, It's like just have a pretty cool job that we get to do, for a living. But other than that, it's pretty normal around here.
So you mentioned that you still live in North Carolina. You're an NC State guy. You just went into the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame this year. First of all, congratulations. That's huge. What the heck took them so long, Scotty?
Oh man, I don't know about that. It's an honor, and I mean, really, a lot of my heroes are in there, so it's really cool for me. And I mean, I don't know if it happened 30 years from now, I would have been fine with it,
right?
So just to be mentioned along the names, with like Randy Travis and Eric Church and Ronnie Millsap, and I mean, it's really cool for me.
Well, I'm not going to keep you too much longer. I just got a few more questions here. I know you're a busy man. Talking with Scotty McCreery. He'll be playing Loeb Stadium coming up August 17th. It's exactly 1 month from today. Of course, he's got a bunch of hits, I think 5 number ones. His current single, It Matters to Her. You hear it right here on Y95 all the time. You were just on tour with Brooks and Dunn. Did that tour wrap up? You guys are done with that, right?
Yeah, just wrapped up
Man,
kind of end of last month. Yeah,
how was that? I mean, Brooks, they're legends. How was that?
dude, it was unreal. I mean, those guys. I mean, they're both basically 70 years old, but they still the energy they bring to the stage. They're flying around the stage and they're singing like they're 30, and it was really fun to watch. And the crowd every night, I mean, was packed. I mean, there wasn't a single night on the tour that it wasn't filled, to the top of the nosebleeds. So they still bring a crowd. They still bring the energy, and it was like a master class for me.
I mean, you're so many years into your career now with numerous number one hits. When you're on tour with people like that, like, do you still soak in the knowledge and just learn as much as you can from guys like that?
Yeah, I always try to be a sponge, so I'll incorporate no matter who I go see, whether it's, a massive headliner or even, some of the opening acts we've had. I try to watch them and see, hey, what are they doing that I'm not, and how can I make my show better? I feel like you always got to be trying to learn and trying to set the bar higher for yourself. So I'm always doing that.
So Megan Moroney was on that tour as well. Were you guys on it together, or was it one of those things where you played some cities and she played some?
Nope, she was on every date I was. So she's great. I mean, I think she's going to have a long career, and stage presence is there, and her songwriting is phenomenal, obviously. So she's in the crowd in the palm of her hand every night.
So you guys were on tour when Tennessee Orange went number one then. What's that like as an artist when you're on tour while a song goes number one? The crowd has to feed off that. And also, did you guys celebrate with her? How do you celebrate that when you're on the road?
Yeah, I think it went number one like the last night of the tour or something like that. Not like that. Last night actually happened to be in North Carolina, so I probably had 200 there. So I didn't get to do too much celebrating, but I did see kind of out of the corner of my eye. I think they had like tiki bars set up and all sorts of stuff over there by her bus. So they were having a good time, as they should. Going number one is something not a lot of people get the chance to do, and it's worth celebrating.
Well, you've got to do it 5 times. Is that right? You've got 5. I think it's 5 consecutive number one hits.
Yeah, it's been 5. So it's really unreal, man. I remember when it was 0, so I still try to not take that for granted at all.
Do you have a favorite of your 5 number ones?
They all kind of mean something different to me. But I think as far as the one that means the most, it's probably 5 More Minutes. Just we went through a lot of mess just to even get that song out there, let alone just kind of how special the song is and what it means to me personally. So there was a lot of roadblocks and obstacles we had to go through to get that to radio, and once it eventually did and became my first number one, that'll always be special.
Talking with Scotty McCreery. He's playing Loeb Stadium 1 week from tonight, August 17th. If you don't have your tickets already, get them. I'm excited to see you in person. Loeb Stadium's a cool venue. Justin Moore played there last year. It's not quite a minor league stadium. It's like a prospect league, so college players from all over the country, they play in this prospect league, and a lot of them get drafted. Actually, the team that plays at Loeb Stadium just had a player get drafted. So it's a cool venue. It's a cool place to play. I think you're going to love it. If you don't know, Lafayette's kind of right between Indianapolis and Chicago. So a lot of fans around here have traveled to see you probably at either of those 2 places, but there might be some fans around here that haven't seen you live. What can they expect from a Scotty McCreery show?
Dude, we have a good time, I mean, obviously we play all of our songs, but we take it kind of from the beginning of the journey back in 2011 to where we're at now, and probably some songs off the next record that, nobody's heard yet. And we throw in kind of, songs from my favorite artists as well, and kind of folks that influenced me. But it's a country music night, I mean, it's country music from start to finish, and we're having a good time on stage, and the crowd always has a good time out there. So it'll be a good night for everybody.
All right, Scotty McCreery coming to Loeb Stadium August 17th. If you don't have your tickets yet, make sure you get those. I know they're going fast. We're excited to welcome you to town. We're excited to see you play, and I really appreciate your time today, my man.
Hey, yes, sir. Can't wait to get up there. Appreciate you having me on, man. It'll be a fun time.